2025 meeting of the Mount Pleasant Planning Commission is now called to order. Is Ms. Popidike here online with us? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Hey, would you like, could you take a roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Devaney? Absent. Commissioner Farley? Absent. Commissioner Friedrich?
Here.
Commissioner Havels?
Here.
Commissioner Kingsworthy?
Here.
Commissioner Leash?
Here.
Commissioner Martinez?
Here.
Commissioner Ortman?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. First item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the August 7th, 2025 Planning Commission regular meeting. Any changes?
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is the Zoning Board of Appeals report. Commissioner Havels?
Madam Chair, we did not meet.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is communications. Ms. Popidike, did we receive any communications?
Yes, we have received 3 communications, all regarding the master plan update. So these communications were put at the dais for the Planning Commission. They're also going to be shared in the next City Commission meeting with the City Commission, who's going to take the final call for adoption of the amendments. The 3 letters in opposition were regarding the extension of Oak Street into Island Park, and they were received on August 11th, 14th, and 27th.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions regarding the communications?
No.
I have one question. Do we need to, with this going to the City Commission, do we need to make any motions or any actions with the communications in regards to that we've already recommended?
No, since you already recommended, yeah, we're just gonna put the communications into the City Commission packet for their awareness as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is site plan review, SPR 2515 at 1993 Grover Parkway. Ms. Popidike, if you could please introduce the item.
Yeah, so this first presentation is regarding J Rank. The applicant is Pete Lawrence, and he's applying for a site plan review for J Rank to build a new addition to their existing facility. The addition would be at sized 24,803 square feet, therefore beyond the 10,000 square foot maximum for administrative approvals. That's why the site plan is coming to the Planning Commission. The address is 1993 Grover Parkway, and the plan also includes associated site improvements such as new pavement surfaces, fencing, and utility connections. The main reason for them to be doing this pretty large extension to their facility is because they are setting really their factory to the long term. So it is a pretty extensive extension. They have been moving towards manufacturing of especially their work that they do for signals. So they work for the city of Mount Pleasant and Detroit for traffic signals. And they have been mostly trying to put all those the signals together within a controlled environment and then shipping them so there is less disturbance to traffic where they are installing them. So it was very interesting to visit the site, and they're very excited for this this enlargement. Due to its location within the Industrial Park South, the project was also subject to the South Industrial Parks Review Board, who has unanimously approved the project on August 22nd. So this is the current conditions of the site. It's a very large site. Usually The sites along Gover Parkway, they're closer to the parkway and further away from the freeway. And the addition is not going to be so much on the east, except for gravel that they're adding. You're going to see in the site plan, but the addition is going to be right in the middle of that site on the northeast corner of the existing building. The surrounding uses are all industrial and agriculture. So on the north, we have MLT transport. On the east, it's agriculture, not within the city limits. Agriculture on the south as well, not in the city limits. And on the west side, we have Kowinski Construction. And the future land use is industrial, and then rural buffer on the east. On the south, we have township designating Bluegrass Center area. And then on the west, it's industrial for Mount Pleasant. The zoning is SDI on the north, agriculture on the east, multiple family residential and business to the south, and industrial to the west. So these are the current conditions viewed from Gover Parkway looking northeast. This is really the first view that you have of the site when entering the Industrial Park South on your right. Current conditions viewed from the first driveway entrance looking east. This is where the proposed shop building will be located. So basically it's going to meet that corner of that black brick building. These are the current conditions viewed from the middle of the site looking southwest, where the proposed shop building will be located as well. It's going to occupy much of what you see here in this view. And these are the current conditions viewed from the east side of the site looking north. This is the area where new gravel will be located. So they can basically push their logistics and machinery to the back. So going through the site plan review, this is what the proposed site plan looks like. You can see the proposed building right in the center of this image. The existing building is not going to be changed. And then you can see the proposed gravel on the right side of this image. Parking is going to mostly stay the same except for the island between the wholesale building on the north and their existing office and shop and proposed building on the south. So they're going to be removing a few parking spaces and the island there to make sure they have enough clearance to get large vehicles in and out and around. This is the building plans. So as you may imagine, it's a shop. They're going to be adding and bringing a lot of large machinery into the building to be able to put the different components together for the traffic signals. And then you can see here the office spaces and bathroom facilities. And then these are the elevations to the north, east and west, and south elevations. So lots of rolled garage doors or openings for trucks to be able to access. So when looking at the site plan, all the different aspects of the zoning ordinance, as you know, in my staff reports, I usually do specific documentation on the review here for each item. And when there's something outstanding, we're going to be showing that with the underscore. So no issues with the plan information, setbacks, building standards, encroachments, vehicular parking standards, and bicycle parking standards. No issues were also identified with landscaping, walls and fencing, screens, off-street loading, storage, trash receptacle, dumpsters. And then signage is going to be part of a separate review process as usual, directly with the building safety department. And the only thing that I noted here is lighting. So the applicant has indicated the location of new outdoor fixtures, and it will be a condition of approval that the applicant ensures compliance with Chapter 96.13 lighting standards of the City Code. So the Industrial Park South review was that everybody approved this project. And so due to the review here presented, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approves SPR-25-15, subject to the following conditions. One, the applicant shall ensure that all exterior lighting fixtures with bulbs producing more than 680 lumens are fully cut off or shielded and directed downward. Two, the applicant shall comply with the requirements of building safety, public safety, and public works. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Do any members of the planning commission have questions for Ms. Polvideko? Okay, thank you. If the applicant is here and would like to speak, you are welcome to come up to the podium. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Pete Lorenz, Lorenz Surveying and Engineering, 3229 West Beale City Road, Wayman, Michigan. I'm the civil engineer in the project. I prepared the site plans and the civil drawings that you just saw for the project. I just wanted to point out that city staff's been very good to work with on this project. And I just have a few things I guess I want to bring up. One of them, I guess, is more of a question than anything else. When I was reviewing the planning review for the project, I noticed that only 3 bicycle spaces were required. When I prepared the plan, I indicated 11 spaces on there. And basically I indicated that based on, I was thinking that the whole entire site needed to be brought up to current specifications based on the building size and the number of parking spaces. The owner isn't opposed to bicycle parking, which I don't think anybody is, but we're just looking at it more from a practical standpoint. When we got looking at 11 spaces, we're thinking, boy, I just don't ever foresee 11 spaces getting utilized. So at this point, I mean, we've already made the application. I don't think it's a big issue for us, but if we are able to reduce that number some, I think we would like to do that, if everybody is agreeable to that. Second, when I was going through the engineering review, this site's a little unique in that the back portion of this site, there's a natural drainage course that goes across this property. Right now, there's some overland drainage. There is a tile, underground tile there. And you may have noticed in the engineering review, it talked about outside approvals from MDOT and whatnot. I've met with MDOT, I've met with the road commission, I've met with the drain commission. Everybody's indicated they have no ownership interest in this tile. None of them were opposed to relocating that tile as we have shown on the plans. So I just wanted to point that out. The fire department comments, we actually met with the fire department. And we're able to revise the plans, but we didn't have the review at that time. So a lot of their comments have already been addressed regarding fire hydrant placement. There are a few things on there I noticed that have not been addressed on the plan yet, but I don't foresee going forward where there are going to be any issues for us. We just need some bollards placed around one of the hydrants. We have a fire lane striping that indicated that needs to be placed, but I don't foresee any issues for us to comply with any of those approvals or any of those requirements, I should say. All in all, I think we can see this is a very good use being in the industrial park, expansion of this property. I think this will allow Rank to remain an asset for the city, you know, from an employment standpoint and everything else. I think it's just a perfect setting for this project. And so I think it would be a benefit for everybody as far as approval and moving forward with this project. I guess that's all I have with that. I don't know if anybody has any questions of me. The owner's representative is here also. If you have any owner questions that I can't answer, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
The applicant is more going to be for Manuel about the bikes, what you brought up.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Great.
Yeah, so maybe I can just jump in for the bicycle question. So the way it works, so for zoning, the very first chapter of the zoning ordinance determines what triggers zoning compliance. And so we do list a set of different items there that are all defined terms, including developments, including improvements. So anytime there is an improvement, which is a man-made alteration to the land or buildings or new construction, new development, new buildings, new additions, the scope of the review is solely on what's being added. Therefore, the way I've been interpreting the ordinance based on that first section is that any bicycle parking would be solely calculated based on what's being added. Sometimes applicants may be adding parking spaces. The calculation usually involves looking at two different metrics. One is the amount of vehicular parking spaces. The other is the amount of square footage that is being constructed. So in this case, they're just, we did the calculation and then we only saw that 3 bicycle parking spaces were triggered with the scope of work that's being added on the site. So we don't ask the whole site to be brought into compliance, but just, again, the improvement that it's being proposed. So technically they could provide just the 3 or they could do more electively.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion?
Discussion? Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve SPR 2515 subject to the following conditions. 1, the applicant shall provide a minimum of 3 bicycle parking spaces. 2, the applicant shall ensure that all exterior lighting fixtures with bulbs producing more than 680 lumens are fully cut off or shielded and directed downward. 3, the applicant shall comply with the requirements of building safety, public safety, and public works.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is site plan review SPR 2516 at 221 West Michigan Street and 215 South Pine Street. Ms. Papadakis, if you could please introduce the item.
All right, so before I start, I just want to make sure that you're gonna know that I'm gonna be basically presenting this case twice. There are 2 options that we're asking the Planning Commission to make a motion today on, option 1 and option 2. Option 1 includes a 2-story building and option 2 includes on the same spot, on the same location, a 3-story building. So I'm gonna present option 1. So as you can see here on the slide, the applicant New Yalamarty on behalf of N18 Developments LLC is applying for a site plan review to build a new mixed-use building at 221 West Michigan. The applicant is requesting the Planning Commission approval of the 2 options that I mentioned. The reason for that is because the applicant is going to be seeking funds through the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, MSHDA. And then depending on the amount of funds that are approved, either the developer is going to be able to build option 1 or go towards an extra story and build option 2. So the one thing to note that is common for for the 2 different options is that the ground floor configuration is the same. That ground floor is going to be providing 2 1,700 square foot commercial units, a residential lobby with elevator, office, package room, and mechanical room, and then 4 ground floor units, which are 2 2-bedroom units, 1 1-bedroom unit, and a studio apartment. The second and third floor for the option 2 will be the same, with each providing 9 units, 3 2-bedroom units, 5 1-bedroom units, and 1 studio apartment. So for option 1, which is subject of this first review, is the 2-story building. And this option will overall provide, again, 2 commercial units on the ground floor and 13 residential units total, with 13 vehicular parking spaces and 14 bicycle parking spaces. So these are the current conditions of the site. The 2 properties highlighted in yellow here on the map are the 2 that have received a rezoning from CD4 to CD5. I apologize for our GIS not having included that new purple tone for the CD5 designation here. So regarding the context, we have a bar and vacant building on the north. On the east, it's another vacant building. The owner simply uses that for storage today. On the south, we have a single family home, and on the west, we have a multiple family building. The future land use is mixed use high for the north, mixed use medium for east, south, and west. And then the zoning designation for the site in the north area is CD5, urban center with a residential dwelling use restriction. And then CD4 for the east, south, and west side. So these are the current conditions viewed from the corner of Michigan and Pine, looking southeast. And then the subject property is viewed from West Michigan, looking southwest to the alleyway. So going for the site plan review, this is the site plan for the 2-story version, option 1. As you can see, the building is shaped as an L shape, and then it's at the lot lines on the 2 frontages with the corner clearance. And then you have parking at the back, access through the alleyway. So we had a few meetings with the applicant, and we were trying to get as much building frontage as possible since this is in downtown. And we were able to accommodate that thanks to the alleyway that's on the back, providing access to parking. So these are the layouts for the ground floor on your left, and for the top story, either the second or third story on your right. And as you can see, you have the commercial units on the ground floor in fronting Michigan Street, and then residential units in fronting Pine Street on the west. And then you have a lobby entering the residential area, also giving access to the commercial units, but mainly the clients, customers, and likely the tenants are going to be accessing either through the parking lot or the front doors along Michigan Street for the commercial units. There are 2 cores for access, providing the 2-way exit for fire code. And then here are the elevations for the building. So you can see the north elevation along Michigan, what that will look like. And then the south elevation. West elevation along Pine with the housing in the back. And then the east elevation along the parking lot. This is a rendering of what the building could look like. The materials, color tones, all those kind of details are still going to be thought through by the applicant. He did send me an email, which was very nice to receive. I believe this was the first time that I do receive something like that. He's trying to analyze the context in downtown and would like the building not to stand out too much, but really kind of fit within the downtown context. So I did share some documents that kind of speaks to the history of Mount Pleasant's downtown and provide some of that architectural context for them to then pick what the facade is going to look like. But you can see here the volumetry of the building and how it meets the criteria of the zoning ordinance for transparency and location and setbacks and all of that. So going through the site plan review, I'm going to be focusing on the areas that we found some issues that need to be addressed after the approval, conditional approval. So because this is on a mixed-use district, we have a lot of building standards that you see here on this big chart. And all of them were met on this slide. And I apologize, but I'm going to mention them just in case someone is just listening. So for planning information, district density, lot occupation, and setbacks, all of those requirements were met. For building standards, we looked at building height, ceiling height, facade build out, entrances, location of building at frontage, facade position, facade design proportions, blank walls, facade void area, facade openings. Moving forward with building standards, we look at facade glazing, facade articulation, and roof type and pitch. And they were all compliant. So now, moving forward with the other elements of the zoning ordinance, building type, it's a mixed use, which is permitted in CD5. We looked at encroachments, no issues, vehicular parking standards. Again, they are providing enough parking for every residential unit. We don't require parking, but we did also work with the applicant to provide enough parking on this location. Originally, they had a U-shaped building with more square footage and less parking. But based on context, even though the zoning ordinance does not require parking, we looked at Broadway Lofts as a case study, and it does provide a lot of parking. So the applicant just felt it was going to be safer to provide enough parking to make sure that the units are well rented. We looked at bicycle parking standards. They met the requirement. And then when looking at private landscaping and streetscape, that's when we get into plant materials. The applicant did comply with the location for shrubs and trees per our standards, but the applicant has not indicated yet the specific plant species. Therefore, this is going to be a condition of approval that they comply with those standards in the ordinance. For screens, no issues. And then looking at off-street loading, storage, trash receptacle, dumpsters, utility box, and all of those requirements, the proposed enclosure for waste will have space for roll carts as indicated, but the applicant did not indicate how recycling is going to be handled on site. Both the zoning ordinance and the city code requires everybody to recycle in the city of Mount Pleasant. Therefore, that's going to be a condition of approval. And then for lighting, the applicant did not provide lighting details. Therefore, it will be a condition of approval that the applicant follows the lighting ordinance in the city code. We can approve that as a separate amendment once we receive the information that's necessary for us to review lighting. So in a nutshell, the analysis is that the proposed site plan is consistent with the future land use, identifying a master plan. It's really what we aim towards as of when we think about downtown development. And then more specifically, the proposed development is going to provide additional commercial space options for businesses that want to set in downtown. And the applicant is working with MMDC to try to find tenants beforehand. And if he can do any small changes to the commercial side to fit whoever is going to be coming in, they are open to that. The proposal is also going to be adding new residents to downtown, helping support existing local businesses. It's going to provide additional housing options for the community at large. If the applicant is able to access state grants, he's looking at mostly into MISHDA My Neighborhood program. They are going to have to target low and moderate and middle income AMI levels. So average medium income levels between 60% and 120%. And the way the 2.0 program worked, it required at least 20% of the units to be restricted to assisting households that earn less than 60 AMI. So that's good news if the applicant is able to access those funds. And one of the reasons why we wanted to bring him as soon as possible for the Planning Commission approval, so the site plan approval can go towards the grant applications. The proposal is also going to be utilizing city's resources more efficiently through an infill development on a vacant site that's been vacant not for too many years, but enough. And I think infill developments are always good to create greater density in an area with existing infrastructure. So with these findings, the staff recommends that the Planning Commission approves SPR-25-16, option 1, subject to the following conditions. All proposed shrubs and street trees shall comply with the city's prohibited plant list in the City Code Section 99.03, prohibited species. 2, the proposed waste enclosure shall include space for recyclable materials, or alternatively, recycling can be handled from within the building. 3, all proposed lighting shall conform with standards set forth in Chapter 9.6 of the City Code. And 4, the applicant shall comply with the additional requirements of building safety, public safety, and public works. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any members of the Planning Commission have questions for Ms. Povidico?
I have a couple of little questions. I was just curious if the previous use of this parcel came into any kind of relevance. I assume it was probably some kind of residence not any kind of pollutive building of some kind. I was just mildly curious about that. Do we happen to know?
Yeah, it was actually office slash commercial. I'm blanking on the specifics. But the my understanding of the site history is that there used to be that office slash commercial building before. It looked like a house. It was a house type, but it did have commercial use. And the reason it got demolished is that a new owner bought the land and wanted to build a new building for a marijuana retailer. And that was the time that we had a cap, and they ended up not proceeding. So
Wow.
the site became vacant at that time, and it was announced as a priority site. And then with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, which is basically part of our RSC program. And then Neo Yalamarty found the site and found it as a good opportunity for a mixed-use development.
Nice, interesting. Other little question, again, kind of curious.
Yeah.
The MISTA grant application here in this case, is it actually in a category which is seeking mixed use development as opposed to residential only? Or, I mean,
It could be either. I believe that usually I would say any grants, they tend to prefer amenities or residential development where you do have amenities. So either it's a mixed neighborhood or you have the mixed use in the building. I think the applicant will have a good chance of getting funded, but obviously it's always a competitive process.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Plovidenko? All right. If the applicant is with us,
I believe the applicant is online and he
Yeah,
raised his
sure.
hand so he can speak. So if MacTV could promote them, or I can try to do that too. Kaylee, if you're able to help me too, that would be wonderful.
And Kaylee, if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Kaylee Cullen.
Hi,
198.
So Kaylee is our office professional. I just asked her to assist New
Oh,
Yalamarty
sorry. Okay.
in getting promoted. Yeah, no problem.
Hi,
So
can everyone hear me?
yes, we
Yes.
can hear you. Thank
Okay, I
you.
think it might be audio only, but good evening, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there in person today. And sorry to say for the record, Neil Yalamarthy from Saginaw, Michigan, 3766 Nugget Creek Court. I first wanted to start off, thanking everyone for reviewing this proposal and the subsequent option. Manuela and the city staff have been a real pleasure to work with, so looking forward to continuing that partnership. Also just wanted to touch on a couple of the comments that came up. In terms of prior use, Manuela is correct. It was like a single-story building that looked very residential, but was two commercial units. After it was demolished years ago, we recently just did some environmental and geotechnical testing, and everything is looking good, so no issues from the demolition process or anything like that. The conditions that are stated on this slide should be no issue at all. We definitely plan on having recycling on site, so we'll definitely get these, straightened up. And then as far as the MISTA grant, mixed use buildings are eligible. I think given the housing dynamics in Mount Pleasant and the need and, this project, I think we have a really great shot at it. As Manuel mentioned, nothing is guaranteed, but, we're going to try our best and put our best foot forward for it.
Great. Thank you. Do any members of the planning commission have questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none, thank you. And then, it says, per the staff's presentation, the planning commission is being asked to make two separate motions on this project. So we'll start with option one. Do we have any discussion or motion for SPR 2516 option one?
Is this a situation where we're going to be voting on this one and then have a second one that we follow this one with?
Yes.
So they build on each other. They're not one or the other.
No, we are looking for a motion on both, and they're not, if you approve one, it doesn't mean that you're going to be disapproving the other. I'm actually going to be doing another presentation just to make sure I point the differences between the two for the next motion.
Okay.
Move to approve SPR 2516 option 1, subject to the following conditions. 1, all proposed shrubs and street trees shall comply with the city's prohibited plant list and City Code Section 99.03 prohibited species. 2, the proposed waste enclosure shall include space for recyclable materials, or alternatively, recycling can be handled from within the building. 3, all proposed lighting shall conform with standards set forth in Chapter 96 of the City Code. 4, the applicant shall comply with additional requirements of building safety, public safety, and public works.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Now, Ms. Povedeka, will you please present SPR 2516 option 2?
Absolutely. So I'm not going to repeat too much. I'm going to be pointing out the differences for option 2. So same location, there is an additional parcel that you're going to see on the map on the next slide. And that parcel has today a single family home that would then be demolished for option 2. So this is the current, the view for the site with the additional parcel on the south of the other 2 parcels. The address is 215 South Pine Street for that additional parcel. So the context here is, again, the same bar vacant building on the north, on the east, that vacant building, and housing. On the south, we have a duplex on the south of that single family home. And then on the west, we have multiple family building. We have mixed use high on the north, mixed use medium designations for the future land use on the east, south, and west. And we have the City 5 urban center with the residential dwelling unit restriction on the north, and on the east, south, and west, we have City 4 general urban. So I'm going to show the pictures now, and then I can pause a little bit on the house. So these are the same views from the vacant site today, from Michigan Pine, and then from the alleyway. And this is the house that would be added as part of the development. So this house today, the owner does not live there anymore. So it is vacant and it's not in a great shape. I've spoken with the fire department and the building safety departments and code enforcement as well. And they do have some issues with this property that haven't been addressed. So just wanted to point out that there is no one living there today. And this is just more of a closed up view of the existing house. This picture was taken a while ago, so I apologize for that, but it doesn't look much different. This was closer to the winter time when we were doing the rezoning. So for the site plan review, this is what the site plan looks like. So as you can see, the L-shaped building is of the same dimension, same size, and same location. So you're not going to see differences on the review as part of the building volumetry and facade designs or anything like that. The thing that changes the most is the parking. So due to the additional 3rd story, the applicant decided to incorporate that 3rd site in to add more parking on the south area of the site. So for this one, option 2, the 3-story building would contain 2 commercial building units, 22 residential units in total, 31 vehicular parking spaces, and 22 bicycle parking spaces. So these are the same floor plans again for the ground floor, and then on the right you can see the second, which is the same for the 3rd story. And these are the elevations for the north elevation. So you can see the additional story there. I did do the calculations for glazing since the facade does change in height and proportions and all that. So there are some changes there in the review. And then these are the west elevation and the east elevations. This is what the volumetry will look like with a 3-story. So it's still gonna fit pretty well with the context. We don't have really tall buildings there. So this option here is taking more of the advantage of the CD5 designation that the applicant got the rezoning in. And staff is actually hoping that they are able to build the 3 stories, considering the really massive need that we have on housing today in Mount Pleasant. And it's gonna just get worse in the future, as we saw in the latest housing report per our intern's presentation to all of you with the housing report. So looking at the review, I'm just going to be pointing out the density here. So the density is going to still be within the requirements and actually much lower than what the applicant could build, with 22 units as opposed to 35, which is the maximum that would be allowed. The lot occupation and setbacks are the same except for the rear setback. Since we have the parking, that rear setback becomes much larger. With building standards, we did calculate the facade void area. It still complies with that, with the windows on the 3rd floor. And then everything else is pretty much the same. And then building height, obviously, was reviewed and still complies with the maximum, which could go all the way to 75 feet. So for facade articulation, the applicant still complies, same volumetry, and then all of that is still compliant. Sorry for the repetition here when I was copy and pasting. All right, so in terms of vehicular parking spaces, we didn't see any issues with the zoning ordinance or the International Building Code for accessibility. And then I'm just gonna mention the same issues or notes again for private landscaping and streetscape. We're just gonna need to have more information from the applicant to verify compliance with the plant lists, both in the city code and zoning ordinance. And then for screens, as you know, off-street parking has to be screened in Mount Pleasant. So in this situation, the off-street parking also has to be located at the 3rd lot layer. So we did work with the applicant to ensure that there is that setback for where the parking can start. And the applicant is going to be adding bushes to screen the parking per our screening standards. And you can see those indicated in the site plan. And then for, again, trash receptacle, we are putting the condition for recycling to be added either within the container or the enclosure or as part of the building. And then lighting, it would be a separate approval afterwards. So the reason for approving this one is pretty much the same, but again, a 2-story building is already going to be helpful, but a 3-story would be even better. But the results are basically the same: more foot traffic in downtown, more residents, and hopefully some affordable housing as well. And then with all of that, the list for the conditional approval is also the same, but I'm going to read it for the record. So staff's recommendation for option 2 is to, I'm sorry, I just lost my screen here for some reason. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, it just disappeared for me. I just found it. So the staff recommendation is for the Planning Commission to approve SPR-25-16 option 2, subject to the following conditions. 1, all proposed shrubs and street trees shall comply with the city's prohibited plant list and City Code Section 99.03 prohibited species. 2, the proposed waste enclosure shall include space for recyclable materials, or alternatively, recycling can be handled from within the building. 3, all proposed lighting shall conform with standards set forth in Chapter 96 of the City Code. And 4, the applicant shall comply with the additional requirements of building safety, public safety, and public works. That concludes my presentation option 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any members of the Planning Commission have questions for Ms. Pawlidyko? Okay. Seeing none, if the applicant wishes to speak again, you're welcome to.
He
Okay.
doesn't have his hand raised, but I'm sure
Okay.
he can answer questions if you have them.
Okay. Does anyone from the planning commission have any questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none. We'll move to discussion.
Move to approve SPR 2516, option 2, subject to the following conditions. 1, all proposed shrubs and street trees shall comply with the city's prohibited plant list in City Code Section 99.03 prohibited species. 2, the proposed waste enclosure shall include space for recyclable materials, or alternatively, recycling can be handled from within the building. 3, all proposed lighting shall conform with standards set forth in Chapter 96 of the City Code. 4, the applicant shall comply with additional requirements of building safety, public safety, and public works.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is public comment. Seeing no one here in person, is there anyone online from the public that wishes to speak? Thank you.
I don't see anybody on Zoom. And let me just check email just 1 second.
There are no emails, Mama.
Thank you. Thank you, Kaylee, for the assistance.
Thank you. I will close public comment. The next item on our agenda is the staff report, administrative reviews. Ms. Pavadiko?
All right, so I have 2 cases to report. I'm having a hard time pathing my slide. Just give me 1 second. Gonna stop sharing my screen and then share it again. All right, so the first one is SPR-25-13 for 1820 South Crawford, Building H. So this is a campus, and the scope of work is just on one of the buildings. The applicant was Severn Group. Moj was the point of contact, and the approval date was August 11, 2025. The scope was to add 2 means of egress and stairs to the rear of the existing building at 1820 South Crawford. The second item or project was SPR-25-14 for 1904 South Mission Street. The applicant is Krieger Clad Architects, and the approval date was August 11, 2025. The scope was to remodel the existing Buffalo Wild Wings building, which includes the enclosure of the existing patio at frontage, and then facade improvements, ensuring compliance with the zoning ordinance as well. So that concludes the presentation on staff report.
Thank you. Do any members of the planning commission have questions for Ms. Pavadiko? Thank you. Then at this time, if there's no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I'm gonna second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Meeting adjourned.
You're,
Yeah.
you're zoning boards.
What about it?
Like the way you take that. Or
You're like Elvis.
Well,
you do it.